has taken out time for this event. Thank you so much for joining. Um, about me, it's been 2 years of a part of Internations, and as I said, I'm one of the ambassador for Bangalore community. Also consults for music, art, and culture group in Bangalore, and I'm also a global consult for the art and craft and skills group. So art is something which I love, and I try to use all the facet of art, whether it's dance, music, or fine art. Uh, so for me, art is everything to me because I remember 10 years ago, I was in a very such mess, and art, like the colors, playing just with colors helped me a lot to heal myself internally. And I see myself a very different person today. So I can vouch for it that, colors does magic to our brain. It gives us more clarity of thought. It helps us to understand things in a very different way, which we never thought of before. And the more I think of those days today, when I read more about art therapy or dance therapy or in general about art, I realized that what I was doing that time was consistent, but I had no clue what could be the benefits of it. But today, when I read it, I feel so much happy about it that, okay, because I've done this, I'm like this, and now I can help someone else to understand them better. So most of the events we do, me and Hyatt, like together, is mostly about the color psychology, the healing powers of art, or something related with art. So right now, what I am doing is I'm working with the mindset because I am more. I do a lot of personal agility, and I believe that we all are agile. It's just we don't know how to be agile a little more. So I started using agile fundamentals using art, and now it has better results in everybody's life. As far as stress, we can also say that person who meditates 24 hours also gets stressed out. So stress is a very vital part of our life. We can't do much about it, but what we can do is manage our stress. And there are so many benefits of managing stress. You see, there are so many companies who are actually working on stress management. Their HRs are always about finding new trainers so that their employees are more, you know, less stressed out because companies are if they don't take care of their employees, they are gonna be into big losses because if a employee even have to like headache, so their productivity for that day goes to 2 hours instead of 8 hours. So it's a big loss for company. Imagine if company can take care of their employees to ensure that they can minimize their losses. So it's our time to maximize our profit as an individual to create a better life around us. Okay, so this is me talking. Let's talk about some facts. What neuroscientist says about stress. So I have some figures which I'm gonna share with you. One second. So one is, so I hope everyone knows that we have 100 billion neurons, right? We have 100 billion neurons in our brain. It keeps on growing and it keeps on dying, depends on what we are doing. So if we learn new things, we actually grow new dendrites, which actually happen physically in our brain. A little fine hair in our brain grows. And the more we repeat the same thing, becomes stronger and becomes a part of our neuron. And that's how most of the time we are in automatic mode. Have you seen yourself when you're driving? You need not to think of driving. You just drive, even if you're thinking something else. So why is it happening? Because your neurons are hardwired to do your job. So most of the time, our neurons knows what Astral do or what Hyatt do or what Echena do. So they keep on doing the same thing because they know the pattern of us. Okay. And as far as stress is concerned, we get 50 stress responses every day on an average. This is an average. So there are people who can get more than 50 stress responses, and there could be people who can get less responses, but they do get stressed out for any reason. It could be like forgetting key or forgetting about presentation, or it could be anything. We get stressed out even for small things. So it's a part. So now, um, This is one thing the neuroscientists talked about, and they also say that on an average, we as a human being get 50 to 60,000 thoughts every day. Imagine we have like such a small brain, and mind is different thing altogether. It's like more of an energy which process our thoughts, which we take it from our ears, eyes, or hands, like kinesthetic or sensory or any medium. So now we have, so let's talk about even today. Today, you guys have 50 to 60,000 thoughts in your brain. What are you doing with that? And neuroscientists also says that whatever we have, thoughts we have today, we carry it next day also. So imagine what we are doing. We are carrying 90%. So if it's 50,000, we are carrying 40,000 thoughts from years maybe back again every day. So what will happen? More confusion, less clarity of thoughts. Here comes the stress management part, because if we don't manage our thoughts, if we don't utilize them, then it's going to create stress. It will make us worried. And when we are worried, when we are stressed, we cannot make, we don't have any decision making, a good decision making. And worry is nothing but a indecision. So if there are two thoughts going on in your mind, for example, I want to go out for a party in the evening. And we started thinking about a dress in the morning. You said, oh, what should I wear? What should I wear? What should I wear this? Should I wear that? So it's there until you decide, okay, I'm going to wear black. The moment you decide I have to wear black in the evening, and that thought is gone. But if you keep thinking about that all day, so what are we doing? We are just repeating the same thing. And that is creating stress, because there are other areas as well wherein they also require decision making. So stress is nothing but our indecision about anything. Have you thought of it? When you're confused, you feel stressed, right? When you know what to do, you feel good. I like, hey, I want to go for this event, sorted. But if you're like, oh, should I go to highest event or should I go to SR's event? Then it's an indecision. You have to make a decision. Once you make a decision, you are all sorted. So here comes the thoughts. So we get 50 stress responses. We get 50 to 60,000 thoughts every day. And unfortunately, 8 out of 10 people are suffering from one or the other mental illness. It could be, it's just because they don't know how to manage stress. And when we don't know how to manage stress, what happens? We started getting diseases like diabetes, hypertension, depression, anxiety, heart problems. You see, heart problems are so common these days, even among youngsters. And stress is one of the major reasons for that. So again, now what happened? What is this stress? So like I said, if we get stressed out, we release some chemicals in our brain. So for every activity we feel as a body, we get signal, the brain gets some signal that, okay, so when Tina is very excited, brain gets the signal, hey, Tina is very excited today. So brain will release a chemical called serotonin. Serotonin is a happy chemical. The moment brain releases serotonin, it goes to Tina's body and it will tell the whole body part that, hey, Tina is very happy. So your hand movements will happen. Yay, yes, whatever. It could be anything. We express it with our body. When HNI is sad, okay, she saw something or she heard something and she's very sad now. So brain gets the signal that she's sad. Now, what brain will do? Brain thinks that it's a threat for Athena. So it releases cortisol. So what I'm trying to say is, whenever we get stressed out or whenever we get feared of anything, we release two chemicals called adrenaline and cortisol. The more these two chemicals in our body, the more it makes us feel sad, it makes us feel grumpy, it makes us get angry on any and everything. And it actually creates so much of confusion that we feel like, why all these things happening to me, God? Why me? So it's not the God who's doing it, it's our brain, the chemical, which is doing it. So to manage these, to balance these two chemicals, what we need to do, we need to do something else. So if you go to the doctor and you're very stressed out, what doctor says? Go for a walk, or do yoga, or do meditation, or do something which you like. So when we do such activities, so now different kind of chemicals are released. So let's say when we do exercise, when we are into any physical activity, even exercise or anything which requires physical activity, we releases another chemical called endorphins. So endorphins cut down cortisol and adrenaline. Then then you release serotonin. And even art, anything related with art you do, we release serotonin, which is a happiness chemical. If we are high on the social media, like there are sometimes we are very high on something, that time we are releasing dopamine, but dopamine is not permanent. We release dopamine until we feel so excited, we are very happy. For example, there's a picture which we have put it on Instagram and somebody's liking it and we are getting so excited about it. Yes, 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 more like. And the moment like stops coming, our dopamine level goes down and again cortisol takes place. So dopamine is good, but we need to be very careful with our addiction. Mostly dopamine is released with addiction, even smoking, even drugs, even other things. So it's all dopamine which make us feel very good about it, but then suddenly drops us down to the sad level. Now comes okay, when we do yoga, when we do meditation, we mostly release serotonin. So even when we talk about art today, when we get into art, we release serotonin, and serotonin is known as happy chemical, and it's more permanent in nature because it's not only doing amazing thing in our body, but also in our brain. So a lot of the brain function, the brain muscle is working hard to create something. Now, if you see, how many of you can paint right now? If I ask you, you have to paint something. How many of you can paint? Okay, Tina. Yes, come on, who can? You can use the reaction button to show your hand that you can paint. How many of you paint? Okay, Atana, Tina. Who else? Maria, Ashule? No? Okay. Why I'm asking you this question? Even painting is a courageous job because when you paint, you have to be vulnerable. And we don't want to show our vulnerability to anyone. So when we paint, it gives a signal to our brain that Tina is doing something different. Tina is courageous, that she's trying to put all her thoughts in something without having any expectations to it. So, like in the first presentation, you have seen spontaneous art. So, I'm talking about now spontaneous art, not something which the professional artist does. So, now let's understand the difference between spontaneous art and intentional art. So, you see, most of the artists around the world, they imagine something or they see something and then they create a beautiful paintings. So, there is an expectations attached to it. But when we talk about art, which has no expectations attached, it makes us feel liberated because there is no one watching. And that is important to reduce our stress. Because wherever there are expectations, there are stress, whether it's relationship, any relationship, child, spouse, or colleagues, or any relationship, expectations. So the art just help you to be yourself. And the best part is everyone has their personal art. So what Isa paints, I cannot paint because that's her. That's her whole, her way of thinking, her way of seeing, her way of perceiving. What Tina can paint, I cannot paint because that's Tina. Whatever she will paint, that will be like, even when we go to see exhibition, we can actually say, oh, this is very much this artist. Oh, this is very much this artist. Why? Because we start understanding pattern. So, okay, let's come back to spontaneous art. So I feel as a person, because I'm doing spontaneous art for 10 years, when nobody recognized my work, they thought I'm very immature. And I know that I was feeling so good about my work. And I was doing just simple. I used to take colors and just paint whatever I feel like. And after finishing the activity, what I was doing, I used to feel so good. I was like so powered. I used to feel like there is all energy around me. So that's the power of spontaneous art. Okay, yes. So what I would like you to do, we'll watch one video. It's about stress. I want you to know what happens when we stressed out, how our whole body work. So the moment you're stressed out, what all things happen, and then we need to do some activity to reduce our cortisol level so that we feel good. So if you do any art activity, after that art activity, you will feel much better. You will feel so relieved that, you just let go of whatever was going on in your head to a paper. And it really helps. My major technique is scribbling. I make everyone scribble. It's just, you have to just scribble, just the way you want to. The more you scribble, the energy which is not needed comes, and you feel much, much lighter. You're like, oh, some feel tired, some want to sleep, and that's a wonderful thing. Okay, this is it from my side. Before I start the video, any question anyone has about stress and anything? So we're gonna do a little bit. Are you guys having, the more you work with colors, you get to know about yourself. So for example, if you just keep some colors with you and just pick up whatever colors you like Tina says, she got different colors at different moods. So it's a very good way to find out what are you feeling that particular time. So for example, you picked up violet one day. Okay, you feel like, doing violet. And then you can actually go to the Google and check what does color violet means. And then check out, there will be a lot of positives and negatives about that color, but you check out how do you feel in that. Are you—
I'm sorry to interrupt. Please, what is the mean white color? What is mean?
So white, I don't consider white and black as color. They are not colors. They're just there.
Oh my God.
You are not allowed to use black. So we actually never use black. All the color mixed up and becomes black. So we try, instead of black, we use more of brown. And if you see, when you go out, whether it's to the forest or for a hike or to the sea, you will find these colors very healing. Maybe light brown ochre, the earth color, soil color, light blue, you might find it very healing because that's the color of the sea. Maybe the sea color keep on changing in different parts of the world. It's somewhere it's like turquoise, somewhere it's light blue, somewhere it's green, somewhere it's gray, it depends. So we see most of the time we feel healing, which is more natural colors. If I show you like very bright color, you'll be like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's too bright. I don't feel good about it. But if you see more lighter color, more nature related color, you will feel good about it. Oh yeah, this is nice. It's very soothing to eyes. And our eyes are actually an extended part of our brain. It's not a different organ, it's the brain. And whatever we see, it gives signal to our pineal gland in the brain. And then pineal gland perceives that color and then talk to our body in a very different way. So yes, color does heal. For you guys, I would say just have some poster colors with you, and whenever you feel like you don't feel comfortable, you feel very indecisive, you don't know what to do, just paint randomly. You need not to paint for a gallery, you need to paint for yourself, and you will feel so good and you will find a solution to your problem as well. That's it, my time. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Be here and sharing a little bit of my story with you. I really enjoyed Hritika's presentation because she's taught me things that I didn't know, because I am a very spontaneous artist, and I don't think very much. I just paint from within my body. My body seems to have this energy, and I have to say that I only started painting when I was in my 40s. Before that, I was laughed at school for not being very good, and my brother and my father used to do my art homework. So, I really held this belief that I'm absolutely hopeless. And I see that in a lot of people. They're always thinking, I'm hopeless at art or hopeless at singing, I'm not very good. But actually, it doesn't really matter. If we do it for the pleasure of making marks, and as Hritika said, getting things out of our body so that the stress is coming onto, in my case, canvases maybe, or papers. I often work quite big. And I have to say that it was most liberating thing that I've ever done in my life to paint. And from no background whatsoever, I painted about 450 paintings, from everything from portraits to abstracts. And I just thought, really, I would show you this series of paintings because I'm beginning, before I started painting, my inner world was colorless. I didn't realize I had any feel for color at all, actually, until I started to paint. And even then, I didn't think that. It was other people used to say, you've got so much color in it. But I didn't think, I just painted. and made my marks. So I want to start with this painting of my mother. It's a portrait painted after her death. And in fact, today is the anniversary of her death. So it is quite a poignant day. I am so grateful to my mother for giving birth to me. We were very different women. Yes, absolutely. And I think she's been the single most inspiration for me in my creative work, because I've always been involved with creative expression. I started as an actress, and then I became an artist and a singer and guitarist, and also an art psychotherapist. So I thank my mum for giving birth to me and for being the different women that we were, because that has been the most propelling movement forward in my life. So if we could have the next image, Hyatt, I think it's called Conception. Yeah, yes, that one, yes. So this is me coming to birth after my mother's death. And I've been to a Brazilian art dance class, and the following day I was feeling this wonderful energy in my body, and I just used that energy to create this painting. And I called it Conception because it's me conceiving myself, if you like, through my body. And the birds often appear in my paintings. So if we could have the next one now, which is called Sitting in My Own Light. And there we are. It's actually much brighter red than it's turned out in this, but you can see there's a bird there. It could be a dove. And there I am, you know, this abstract shape sitting in the middle of the painting, but there's the light under me, there's the white dove, and there's this ladder, and a sort of at the bottom of it, a treasure chest. And me, you know, sort of climbing the ladder to the light. I'm very interested in light and dark. So you see on the left-hand side, often a yellow shape, which could be seen to be the sun or the moon or just light, you know, and warmth. So that's that one. And then if we can move on to the next one, this is quite an interesting one. It's called In My Prism, a Self-Portrait. Now, this is actually my color aura taken with a color machine called Kirlian Photography. And you put a hand on this machine and it takes a photograph of your color aura. And I love the colors, and then I painted it on a 4 foot by 3 foot canvas. It doesn't show the whole thing in this photograph, unfortunately. But you know, I'd like to really do another series of these and have different color readings and see how our auras change in color depending on the day, the mood, the weather, or whatever. I think it would be a very good study. I'm really interested in making the invisible visible, for myself at any rate, because a lot of my life I've felt very invisible. So these paintings, yeah, they do make me quite visible, even though I might hide and be very shy underneath it all. So if we could have the next one, which is the Rabbi's Daughter. Now, these portraits are something that I would never have thought I could do, because I could be spontaneous, but the idea of doing portraits and making a likeness from a person that I actually know, I had no sense of direction. So seeing a model and then bringing that accuracy or not accuracy onto my paper or canvas was something that in my thinking was impossible. But in reality, it was very possible. And it's not exactly precise, but I was never interested in precision, but it's about impression. And anyone who knows this, Shoshi, who's a friend of mine, I'll be seeing her at the weekend, she commissioned this portrait for her father, who was a rabbi, and he managed to escape the Holocaust as a child to this country. And so I, as my roots are in as a Jew, coming to terms with my own feelings about belonging and not belonging, I did do an exhibition at the Jewish Museum of Art, which is called the Ben Uri Gallery in London. And my exhibition was called My Journey into Belonging. And I think this was really belonging to myself, my authentic self. So coming to terms with my roots and my friendship with a rabbi's daughter and all the issues that we shared about our backgrounds. So if we could have the next one, which is called The Female Resurrection. And this is, I must say, a very large painting indeed. It's 7 foot by 5.5 foot. And at the time, I had sort of moved into Buddhism and Quakerism, and I was trying to come to terms with that spiritual journey for myself. And also I was coming to terms with the death of 5 females in my life. My mother was one, and 4 other females, some of them my own age. And the question I was carrying was, how do you celebrate life at the same time as suffering? And I decided to put the female shape on the cross with her arms sort of 7 foot out. You can't really see the accuracy of it. But what I realized was that there was no room for her head. That's typical me, lack of precision. But I realized actually that the female shape was transcending and transforming the suffering. And therein I got my answer and called it the female resurrection. But I do wonder also, you know, how I was coming to terms with the fact that I felt rather guilty about using the image of, you could say, Jesus on the cross with my Jewish roots. And then, you know, upsetting Christians because I was using the cross. But in actual fact, 20 years on, I looked up the Celtic cross meaning, and it exactly expresses really what I would like to say, that on the 4 sides of the cross, 1 is the self, 2 is the wisdom, 3 is the divine God, goddess, and 4 is nature. And those 4 elements make up the whole. And for that, I do feel our world needs the female resurrection, or the ascension of the female energy, nature, wisdom, and that is mysterious, that makes up a lot of our lives, which of course creativity taps into, because we are limitless, but we don't know that. And that's what I think I learned so much about. After I painted this painting, I didn't have anything much more to say, because I felt that I had to come out of my studio and share my message. And so that's really what I'm doing with you today, with gratitude, to be able to share and to find some words as well to my wonderful experience, that I am very grateful and appreciative of it, because I learned so much that wasn't in books. It was all in my body and in the expression and in the spontaneity. So I leave you with that.